Welcome back to another GT Sport race. This time we are racing in Sardinia Sea in reverse. Every single time I race at Sardinia, I always end up racing the reverse layout. I don't think I have ever driven in any of the proper layouts yet. And also, instead of watching some track guides, usually by Mr. MCA or Tejane, I thought I'd try and see if I can learn the track and its braking points by myself. Clearly, I haven't done a great job since I qualified relatively back on the grid. It's a Group 4 race, so you know it's going to be dominated by FF cars. Maybe this was why my qualifying wasn't that great, as I did it using the wiper. It's also the shortest layout of Sardinia that I have raced yet, with one lap being just under 1 minute. It doesn't have a lot of technical turns to slow you down as much, so don't be surprised if the FF cars end up putting up quite the fight. Usually everybody picks the fastest car, but in this lobby I was surprised to see quite the variety. Even Mazda Atenza, which is not a car you see that all that often. Off we go down the straight, following the fellow wiper up in the front. The first corner can be quite tricky, as usually you are better off trying to make a wide turn in, but in the first lap almost everyone misses their mark, and you can already see the wiper clashing with the Audi TT ahead, and the Atenza behind me trying to make a move up. Side by side with the Atenza, this section can be the trickiest, especially when fighting with another car, because if you can't keep it in the racing line and is not aware of the effect of slipstream, you're gonna end up saying hello to the barrier, just as I did. But we managed to keep things under control for now, but the Atenza is still clearly hot on my tail. The wiper has a service penalty, so we gifted up a position, but coming into this last section with the S-curves, it can be really hard to nail, as I brake just in time, but the Atenza makes his move into the space I left open. It was just wide enough for him to make his move. This straight is where the FF cars can really come alive, and where I will definitely lose pace in. The French driver behind in the wiper has caught up with me, but for some reason tucks himself on the outside line instead of putting up a fight, which, hey, I can't complain. As long as I brake a fraction later, I think I can keep my position. And that is exactly what happens as the wiper goes wide. The Atenza ahead seems to be struggling quite a bit with lag as he's going back and forth. This gives me the best opportunity to close the gap, but at the same time I don't want to make the same mistake I did in the first lap. And just before we reach the braking point, I get tapped just slightly by the wiper from behind and gain a boost from him, but I also lose my brake marker, so I'm forced to slow down or say hello to the barriers once again, which we managed to avoid doing. But of course we end up losing position to the wiper, which I don't mind, because I would rather have him sending somebody else to the Shadow Realm rather than it being me. So in this case he can go annoy the Atenza ahead of me, but the trouble isn't over yet, as now I'm trying to overtake him, and unless he makes a grave mistake and bottles his entire race, he's going to be either ahead of me or behind me, which isn't all that great news for me. Tucking into his slipstream to get as much momentum as possible, we go into turn 1, and again the wiper goes wide. For some reason he really doesn't seem to hit his mark. Now we're back to square one, and he's way too close for comfort, especially in this first sector. So now I'm keeping my fingers crossed, hoping he doesn't make a repeat act of punting me into the Shadow Realm. He does end up falling back, maybe to give me some space, but as we make our way to the next turn and brake on cue, he comes crashing his way through. In hindsight, I definitely misjudged how much I needed to brake, but I'm surprised with how much speed he was carrying with him and how he got away without a penalty, as he was clearly on the grass. Coming into the final turn, the Italian and the Spaniard has caught up, and the Spaniard somehow forces his way through. This was quite the recurring theme in this lobby, and many others on this track. Or maybe it has to do with the fact that the driver rating was C, which is a drop from where I was before. So subscribe to see what has happened in the previous races. And the punting continues with the Spaniard taking his turn. As I'm forced to go wide, he moves up along with the Italian, who seems to be just another innocent bystander making the best of the situation. So now it's the French, the Spaniard and the Italian fighting for position, with me just left to pick up the pieces. And it doesn't look like there's an end to the fighting, as they're going side by side, with me slightly distracted by their antics. We all end up trading paint with the barrier. And just as I'm recovering, another driver, this time a Portuguese in the RCZ, with the might of the FF drivetrain, comes to end the party. And much of the trouble really subsided for a while after this. So we're gonna skip on ahead to the last lap. Coming into turn 1, wheel to wheel with the RCZ. I have the inside line, but the RCZ does brake later. However, I'm still able to squeeze right through, and had he blocked me, I think that would have ended up with a penalty for him. So he wised up and conceded his position, clearly to make a jump on me later. Because he does have the benefit of being in the faster car, so if I were him I would be patient and wait for the right moment. But it's a shorter track than normal, so there's not a lot of opportunity to make a move. And up ahead you have the French and the Italian drivers still fighting like there's no tomorrow. At this point the two attendants are no longer in the picture, as one fell back obviously and the other got disconnected. I'm not entirely sure, we'll check up on them after the race is over. And the fighting does end quite dramatically as the French driver is sent into the barrier by the Italian as he goes wide, and all I can say at this point is, thank you very much gentlemen, I'll take it from here. So we end up finishing 4th, which is an amazing result for having started 10th on the grid. Despite the chaos, it was a lot of fun, and for a clean race without a penalty is a win in my book. So thank you for watching, I'll catch you guys again very soon as I have so many videos that I want to upload. See ya.